Welcome to Classrooms Beyond Borders, a day in the life. I'm your host, Cami Cannikins. I'm an educator from Canada, and I know that access to quality education isn't a level playing field. In this podcast, we're going on a journey to explore the realities of schooling in less developed nations. Join me as we explore the real lives of teachers, students, and community leaders in less developed nations and discover how their experiences can challenge and inspire us all. Welcome to another episode of Classrooms Beyond Borders. Today, I am with Valentina Miranda, and she is a teacher coming to us from Peru. So welcome, Valentina. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your role or your job as a teacher in Peru?
Hello, Kamini. Hello, everyone. Well, first, I am delighted to be here and grateful for this an amazing opportunity to share with all people about my passion, that is education being a teacher. So, well, my name is Valentina Miranda. I am a secondary education teacher with a specialization in social science and now in STEAM education as well. Today, I am going to share my experience as a rural teacher in the years 2022 and 2023 in the Amazonas region, my beautiful region of Amazonas, that I am really happy and I really love that the region of my country. And thanks to be selected for a leadership program by an NGO. And the name is Enseña Peru. So I am alumni from that NGO. Now I am currently working as a STEAM teacher in a private school here in Lima. The name is Nordic International School. I am really happy to be there as well because it's a new way to discover education, different students as well. Thank you.
All right. So could you tell us about the difference between those two schools? You said one was more rural and one is in the capital city of Lima.
Yes, well, there are big difference between of them. The private schools here in Lima or any part of the Peru has different, I would say, opportunities. Yes, technology, even the culture of the students as well. And in the rural places of my country, it's really hard because there aren't enough opportunities, technology, even basic services. It's really hard to be a rural teacher or study in a rural place here in Peru.
Let's actually start with the rural Peru. Lots of the people that have been on this podcast have been from rural areas. There's certainly differences that exist in our more rural areas of our countries. Are you from Lima? Like, did you grow up in the city?
Yes, I am from Lima. All my life I lived here.
How did they treat you or respond to you as a city girl?
It was really hard. I remember when I was there, people saw my physical face, my physical in general. Questions like, where are you from? You are not from here. I remember for me, it was not an easy questions and I felt uncomfortable as well. But I think my personality, my beliefs, and the way that I'm a humble person. So I was there with them. So they noticed that, okay, maybe you are from Lima, but not all people from Lima are like the stereotype that we have. So it's something important, but it was with the months because when I was there in the first weeks or even the first 3 months, it was really hard to be from Lima. Yes, because Lima is not near to Amazonas.
How far? How far? How many kilometers? And then how long did it take you to get from Lima to Chiriaco?
Okay, if you go by car, maybe like 12 hours, I think, or more. I'm not sure. If you take a plan, maybe 2 hours, but it's not common. People from Lima is not common there. But even if you go from Lima, the majority of people just stay there 1 week, days. But it's something weird that someone be there 2 years. Like my case. And even it's more uncommon that you say, I am really happy to be here. Because some people say, are you okay? Because here we don't have a lot of things like in your city, we don't have a cinema, we don't have cars or something like that. But I was really happy to be there because I have a connection with the natures and I see all the beautiful places there and being in contact with the people. It is something important that I really love. For that is the reason that I really love to be there because you can talk with the people in a special way. You can connect more than in the people in the cities because here we have fear, maybe it's a dangerous people or it's not a good people. So we try to take a distance. But there it's like, okay, come here. We go to the river. We can chat in the street, and it's something that I really love.
What about language? Was that difficult?
Yes, they have their own idiom, and the name is Awahun as well. And it's really hard. And when, for example, I remember they just wanna understand what is the situation, they just talk in Awahun. And me, I just talk in Spanish and English, and it was uncomfortable as well because I want to know what are you talking about? Please speak in Spanish, no? But now I understand that for them it's important to talk in their mother tongue. So I know some words in their idiom, which is the Wahun. For example, buenos dias or good morning, you can say sawahme. And in response, you said sabanja.
Did they feel comfortable in Spanish? So I'm assuming school was in Spanish. Was Spanish easy for them or was that a struggle?
That is something important as well because kinder and elementary school, they speak in Awahun, their mother tongue, and it's really important. But in high school, they need to speak in Spanish. So for them, when I teach to my first grade and secondary students, I see how they suffer trying to understand in Spanish when they just talk in a Wahun or even speaking Spanish as well, but it's really difficult because it's really important. And now I understand when you try to explain your ideas, discuss, or even some words, you just need to speak in your mother tongue. And I saw that in my students. For that reason, I try to take lessons in Awahu because I remember when I entered to the classroom, I said, "Tawahume," buenos dias or good morning. It's like, oh my goodness, my teachers know my idiom, so it's important for her, and it was really a way to connect with them because the majority of them are really shy and they don't speak or they try to maybe like, okay, I am not here, I just listen and take notes and no more. But you need to discuss, you need to learn, and you need to participate, and you need to speak for that. So I remember some of them don't participate because they have issues with the Spanish idiom.
Perhaps you could tell us about the school that you were at, or maybe a typical rural school. How many students might be there? How many students in a classroom? How many teachers?
Okay, well, in a specific in my school, for example, there are 500 students already and about 30 teachers. The students range in age from 12 to 18 years old. And in a typical class, there are 30 to 32 students. But for example, in another rural school, maybe just a primary or elementary school, maybe less kids, 10 kids to 15 kids or even less. It depends of the area. Well, talking to my high school, I would like to say that two important pieces of data. The majority of the students are male, and we are a multicultural school because we live together with Awahun, Yampis, and Mestizo ethnic backgrounds. And almost 90% of them are Awahun students.
Okay, so is it a boys only school, or is it just that by high school, it's mostly boys that are still in school?
Mostly boys, yes, because people there expected that girls to become housewives. So the majority of them are boys.
So it's not that the girls could not attend school, it's just that culturally, girls are already out of the system. They've already
Yes.
finished to become a housewife.
Yes, that's right. That is the sad reality.
And that's even in the capital city. And so I imagine in the rural areas, that's even fewer girls get to high school. Would that be true?
Maybe, but I think it's more because of the culture.
Let's go back to the rural schools. Tell us about like the buildings. What would the buildings be made of? Or do you have washroom facilities like plumbing? Do you have running water? Do you have reliable electricity? Tell us about some of those things.
Okay, well, this is such an important topic to discuss. I would like to say first that based on Loris Malaguzzi philosophy, the students have three teachers. The first one is the family, the second one, sorry, is the teacher, and the third one is the environment learning. So in that line, some factors like furniture, illumination, temperature, sound, color, and decoration are essential for improving the learning. However, the rural school physical buildings are not considered these conditions. In this case, my school is one of them because it's not adapted to the hot climate typical of the Amazon region. I remember my experience there. The temperatures between 25 degrees Celsius to 38 with thermal sensation reaching 40. So that's really crazy to be inside that space. I remember that. Our school is built with brick walls, corrugated metal, roofing, no fans, small windows without glass, wooden tables and chairs, tiny bins, and all whiteboards. So in general, the school isn't a safe place for all the educational community, especially when it's sun and rain or even thunder, because it doesn't have a roof over the central courtyard, which is danger for all of us safety. That is a reality that is happening now. The students suffer a lot because of that, even teachers as well. In addition to that, okay, there aren't enough classrooms for all students. We are the unique high school in the district, so all students when they go to the high school, but we don't have enough capacity for all of them because there are a lot of teenagers now.
Okay, and so in the capital city in Lima, is the school that you're currently at, your private school, is that significantly different?
Yes,
Tell,
yes.
tell us about that one.
Here in the school that I am working now, we have a big with good illumination, space for the kids, grass so they can play, start their animals, farm, a little farm, just 18 students per classroom. So it's different. And even the students who has maybe a condition or a diversity, neurodiverse,
Neurodiversity.
yes, neurodiversity has a special teacher with them. So you can see that in a rural school or even in a public one here in Lima. It's really hard and it's a big difference between a public one and a private one.
Would your school in the Amazon have had much technology or even reliable electricity?
Well, about electricity and technology, well, I remember that we have laptops, computers, even tablets,
Mhm.
thanks to the Ministry of Education. But the bad news is that the majority of them have technical issues, and even some of them don't work at all. So we have the technology, but not in a completed way. So we have issues. And I remember when I tried to maybe learn something in the laptop, sorry, or a computer, we have problems because we have the laptop, but we don't have internet. So it was really hard to teach, or even the kids learning technology or search information on Google or different platforms or websites because we don't have internet in the area.
So you have such a good insight into two very different worlds of schooling in Peru, rural in Amazonia and then a private school in Lima. If you're comfortable telling us, how would wages or salary compare from being a teacher in a rural public school to maybe a city private school? What would that look
Unfortunately, teachers in Peru are not well paid. I would like to explain the three main salary range that exists here. The first group are teachers who work for the public sector, and that means for the Ministry of Education, and they receive a salary of 3,300 soles. So that is not enough for the public sector, even for live in Lima or in the Peru in general. The second group includes teachers who work in a private schools where salaries can range from 1,500, okay, or 1,500 soles to 2,500 soles. And the last group of teachers who also work in a private sector, but in elite schools, they can receive between 4,000 to 8,000 soles per month. And maybe people can say, wow, that's a lot of money. But no, that is not enough for all the things that we need to do inside the classroom and outside the classroom as well, because a lot of teachers like me work in their homes. We still program, we still planning, thinking about motivations, ideas, even in the classroom. For example, in my case, the maximum is 18 students, and some of them have difficult learning difficulties, or maybe some neurodivergent types of kids, and I need to focus my attention on them too, at the same time with the other neurotypical group of students. So it's really hard to in at the same time with all those kids or students. So it's not enough, or we need our country and in general in Latin America, they need to considering all the effort we put in classrooms and outside the classrooms in a professional way. We need to learn, we need to do our master degree or even a PhD. So we need to set a good salary for that, or maybe a thing in a scholarship way. We need a support from our government. I think it's not a good salary for us, and we need opportunities as well.
Could you take a moment and calculate what that the equivalent might be in US dollars for let's just take the first one, like for the teacher working for the Ministry of Education. What would a US dollar equivalent be?
For example, 3,300, the equivalent is $911.
Thank you. It's just helpful to have an American number as well by comparison. So what I'm understanding is that where your school is located, the internet just isn't there. You're out of service. There's no internet. Not if it's not the case that it's the internet's there, but you can't afford it. It's just not there.
Well, there are internet the place, but we have several problems with that, because some days we don't have signal. So all day, imagine without connection with internet, and even in the school. For example, I know that last year a private company from Lima go there to get internet to the school, but just work for 1 month. Imagine all the happiness and the hope for that internet in the school finally, and just working for that month. And it was really sad because the kids and the teachers, we need internet to program our lesson plans, watch videos, search different information. So we have a huge limited in that aspect.
So it sounds like sometimes you get the technology or you get the tools to bring internet, but you don't have maybe the support to fix and to keep it working. You get the thing, but you don't get the support to continue.
Yes. We need the support, and we need someone or a company that really be there for us, listen to students as well. So because we need that tool to develop our skills, student skills as well. We need to connect to the reality, what is happening in the world, not just in the community.
So going back to your rural students, let's talk about maybe what time in the morning does school start? How do students get to school? Do they walk, or what does that look like?
Okay. I remember about my experience there. So a typical day at school starts at 7:40 a.m. Every morning we have a formation assembly that lasts up to half an hour in the school courtyard. The students line up by grade and section and stand in front of the teachers and the principal as well. This is done to sing the national anthem, celebrate holidays for the academic calendar, and listen to announcements from the principal about weekly activities or upcoming monthly events. And then we begin classes that are divided into 45 minutes blocks, and our first recess is at 10 a.m. Just for 20 minutes. Then we return to classes until 1 p.m., followed by a 40 minutes lunch break. And finally, our day ends at 3:30 p.m. So totally 8 hours of instructions, 8 hours to talking, learning, and develop our skills in the school. And it was a really good moment because I share a lot with my students. Usually make designs learning experience outside the school because I think it's important that students not just learn inside a classroom. I think it's important to get away to the community, talk with people, be in the service of the locals as well.
All right. So you mentioned your lunch break. Do students at the school get food? Do they get food provided by the school, or do they bring their own lunch? What does that look like?
Yes, about meals, yes, the students receive breakfast in form of rations, a drink or a solid food item, and non-perishable products like, for example, rice, oil, sugar, and milk. But I know that lately they haven't been receiving these foods regularly. I think it could be because here in Peru we have a national school feeding program. The name is Huasimicuna, Comida en Casa, that is the name in Spanish. But this is something that our government need to do something because a lot of students around the rural spaces in Peru has malnutrition. So if they have malnutrition, they can learn. And I saw that. And it's really, really sad because they need to grow, they need to be happy, and they need to eat. It's not just something like, okay, well, don't eat, but go to the school. It has no sense. You need to go to the school. You need to learn. You need to eat as well and eat good, eat well.
And what about your private school?
Well, imagine private school, you have a nutritionist and you have a good plan of food. So the kids, I remember when I was in a high school for athletic students, so they receive a meals, special meals for them, even for according to their sport they practice, for example, and the products are good products as well. The food is good, even we receive, I remember, a little breakfast as well. So it's a huge difference. But I know that they have enough money to pay that. But that is not a reason for the people who is poor or maybe vulnerable population. That is not a reason that they don't receive quality food.
Well, you're so right. When kids come to school hungry, it is very difficult for them to learn. The families in the rural Amazon have access to much technology at home. Would they have a laptop, maybe a smartphone? What would the technology of the family be like?
Well, one family, the majority of them, yes, almost the majority of all people there, them have a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Phone, it's something common, but not, for example, an iPad or a tablet or a computer, laptop. That is not common. Just the cell phone. They use WhatsApp as well, Facebook, TikTok, social media in general. Even the students have cell phones as well. Some of them not, but just few cases. The majority have cell phone. Yeah.
And how young? So I'm assuming your high school students would have cell phones. How old would a typical student in Peru be before they might have a cell phone, a smartphone?
Well, in general in Peru or in a rural?
Well, let's do both.
Okay, in Peru in general, for example, my school, we use an iPad with students, 5 grade students who have 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they use the iPad. And in a rural way, I see more teenagers, 13 years old, but because of their parents, not because they have their own cell phone, for example. In the capital is different. In the city in general, I think.
Right.
Kids have more technology.
Now you told us that you are the STEM or STEAM teacher at your school, at your new high school. Tell us about some of the technology that you have access to as a STEM teacher at a private school in Lima.
Well, now as a STEAM teacher, I use the iPad, the Chromebooks as well. So we can design or even search information on websites. For example, today I was in an event, Day of AI, with some of my students. So we were there discussing about the AI in schools, doing activities for the future classes. And it's good because we can involve the students with technology in a responsible way. Now, and I would like to share this experience or learnings to my Amazon students. And I am really happy to maybe combine all of this information of opportunities that because it's important that they discover what is happening in the world right now, improve their academic skills.
In your STEM program, do the students do coding? Do you have drones? Do you have robotics? What about those types of materials?
Well, robotics, not for now, but coding, we are trying to use that. We are going to use a ThinkerCAD. That is an app in the iPad, the Sketches book as well, because we are prototyping Sketch in the manual way and at the same time in a digital way, so they can create different entrepreneurships ideas or projects with technology as well. And we are surfing in that new era for us as well. It's something new for all of us.
You talked about taking notes. In your rural school, did you have enough books, textbooks, paper? Like, did you have supplies that you needed?
Well, the textbooks are from the Ministry of Education, and they are all in Spanish. So imagine they don't know how to speak in Spanish and they need to read in Spanish. So it was really hard. And even, okay, the book doesn't have a context, always a Lima or the capital context. For example, some of them didn't know about the plane or didn't know about the, I don't know how to say, centros comerciales, say the shop, for example.
Shopping center?
Yes, shop. And when they just saw the book, shops, what are you talking about? I didn't know about that. I just know about my river, my dog, my cat, or even the community there. It has no context. We need a books who are based on their culture because that is the way they are going to learn. Okay, I need to be real. Maybe the majority or maybe a percent of them are going to be there until the end of the days. And they need to learn according to their context, not Lima context. That has not come.
I sometimes wonder for areas like that that are so remote and separate from the rest of the world, if AI, if artificial intelligence will help us to create resources that are better for people in specific areas, right? That are more unique to the Amazon rainforest instead of the big capital city. I wonder.
Yes, I wonder as well. I wonder even they think in that and they try to do it. And it's something important to say is that even they know more about their mother tongue, at the same time they feel embarrassed to talk in their mother tongue. And it's really crazy because we need that they speak in their language and they share and understand what is happening. And maybe I think the AI can do something in the future with them and their ideas as well.
So that's actually kind of where I started in chatting with people on this podcast was a wonder if could AI help out in situations where there's a language barrier and there's remote communities and there's very little access to education or access to technology or the things that they need. So that's kind of actually how my questions got started. And then I realized, oh, people around the world actually need to know more about what it's like to live and work and do school in remote places.
Yes, I think it's important as well that technology connect with them and what is happening in the place as well.
All right. So as we wrap up, maybe you can tell us in Peru in general, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges for education or for teachers? And then what are some of your biggest hopes?
Okay, the challenge or the biggest challenges for me as a teacher in a rural school place where witnessing sexual violence, yes, teenage pregnancy, that was something common that I saw, malnutrition as well, parental abandonment up close, and also experience the feeling of being a foreign in my own country, even though I was still on Peruvian land, Peruvian soil. That was really crazy for me because I felt like I was outside when I was my own country, and I saw that we don't have opportunities. We don't have someone who is listening us what is happening there. And even being a woman in that place was definitely not easy. I had to face language barrier because I told you my students are Awahun, so they speak Awahun idiom. Stereotypes, prejudice because of being from Lima. It was really hard for me as well. The lack of access to healthcare services, the perception of being unprotected because of I didn't have a family nearby me or wasn't married. That was crazy. Yes, I remember what, are you not married? No, I am alone and I am working here. And it was really weird for people. I remember that they try always that I need to be a wife, but I that is something crazy that when you decide to be alone or just focus on your work or your job, for them it's like maybe you have problem, maybe you are not good, but it's something really uncommon because all the girls there are pregnant, even for teenagers. So even my students, when notice about that I don't have kids or I am not married, it was like, really? Why not?
What's wrong with you?
Yes, what's wrong with you? Exactly. I wanna, yes, maybe in the future, but now I need to work, I need to study, I need to focus on my job. I am here for being a teacher, not for something else. So yes,
So for
that's why.
those students, as I listen to that, it's heartbreaking. So little sense of hope, really.
Yeah, that's it's something that's really hard to talk for me because I saw how they live alone without parents, without anybody, maybe an uncle, but even it's like being alone because it's not the same that live with your uncle like your parents, different. So I am really emotional teacher. So when they saw that in me, it was like, oh my goodness, you really love us. And yes, I wanna take care, be with them. I think they need love. That is something that it's important. I know that it's important learning. I know it's important nutrition and the basic services. But I think something that the government, the state is not going to give us is the love and the care that they need from their parents or maybe an adult responsible one. But because that is really important. And they suffer. They even can focus because they know that it's something that is not good inside of them, and it's really sad. I feel not good when I remember that because I see their faces like feeling abandoned, and it's not good for their emotional development, the hurt.
So do you see a hope or a solution?
Hmm. I think I want to think yes. Yes, I want to say yes because there are people who are in the land, in the territory, doing good things for them, for the our home culture. And even me, I am trying to make programs or thinking ideas to stay there again, search for opportunities to them because they need opportunities. It's not enough to finish the high school. They need to go to the university, institutes, work in something. They need hope to the rest of their lives. And I trust that they are going to find something good in the future. Yes, I wanna believe in that.
Well, it's good to believe and have hope.
Yes.
When you think of those students or your students in Lima, what are some of the skills that you see are super important for students to develop as they grow as students?
Well, in Lima, in Amazonas, in different parts of the world, I think the most important skills to develop is the agentive profile, their autonomy, responsibility, social awarenesses, their intrinsic motivation, empathy, that it's really important to develop nowadays, the empathy. Problem solving, critical thinking, and the most important as well is the communication skills. I think when students develop their agentive profile, they are prepared to face life, make conscious decisions, and transform their community. I think it's important that students being a leader. Yes, in the school, in their families, in the community, because they are the future, the present now in the schools and the future for our community in general.
Last final thoughts. What are some final thoughts?
Education can change the world. Students can change the world as well. We need to believe. We need to give love. That love heals. We as a teacher have a power in our hands, and it's important to be responsible to share what we know, the path our students are going to take as well. And we need to be humble. We need to value teachers as well. Nowadays, it's not easy for us be in front of the students or in front of the parents and be there is not easy. The world is changing and we need to be prepared for all is going to come. And we need to work as a team, family, teachers, students, and the principals. It's important to be all together and listen each other because when you listen to people, you know what is happening in reality in the classrooms, yes, in the teacher's room, and you need to listen and you need to take an action so you can change in a rural place, in a private place. Yes, I think it's that.
Well, those are great final thoughts to leave us with. So thank you so much, Valentina, for joining us today. You have been listening to Classrooms Beyond Borders. We hope this episode has offered a valuable perspective on education in a part of the world that may be very different from your own. I hope these conversations spark a desire to learn more about the world, to engage with global issues, and to consider how you can contribute to more equitable and just education for all. Check the show notes to see if there is a specific suggestion for supporting the school in this episode. Join us next time for another journey beyond borders to another classroom with another incredible teacher. Subscribe to Classroom Beyond Borders wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube.